Call to order this meeting of the management of Emeryville Services Authority. So for the members of the public, we have two very brief meetings that we're going to do before our regular council meeting. Madam Clerk, please take the call.
Councilmember Donahue?
Here.
Councilmember Martinez?
Here.
Councilmember Pats?
Here.
Vice Mayor Medina?
Here.
And Mayor Bowders.
Here. Approval of the final agenda. I'll accept a motion.
Move approval. Second.
Motion from Member Martinez, second from Vice Mayor Medina to approve. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Donahue?
Aye.
Councilmember Martinez?
Aye.
Councilmember Pats?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Medina?
Aye.
And Mayor Bowders.
Aye. No ex parte communications, I presume. Public comment for the consent agenda or items not on this agenda. Seeing and hearing none, I'll take a motion on the consent calendar.
So moved. Second.
I have a motion from Member Pats and a second from Member Donahue to approve consent. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Donahue?
Aye.
Councilmember Martinez?
Aye.
Councilmember Pats?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Medina?
Aye.
And Mayor Bowders.
Aye, this meeting is adjourned. Time is 7:15. Time is 7:15. Call to order the City of Emeryville, a successor agency to the Emeryville Redevelopment Agency. Madam Clerk, please note all members are still present. I'll take a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion from Member Martinez and a second from Member Pats to approve the agenda. Please call the roll.
Hang on. Councilmember Donahue?
Here.
Councilmember Martinez?
Here.
Councilmember Pats?
Here.
Vice Mayor Medina?
Here.
And Mayor Bowders.
Aye. Well, can I accept all the hears as ayes? On an
yeah,
acclamation motion?
Take the roll, but could.
Nope, I passed the rule. You wanted a fast meeting, I'm moving it along, but we need to vote,
and I
we
say
need to vote
yes.
with ayes. So I think we have 5 ayes to approve the agenda. Are there any ex parte communications?
No.
No. Is there public comment for items not on this agenda? Seeing none, I'll take a consent calendar motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion from Member Martinez and a second from Member Pats. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Donahue?
Aye.
Councilmember Martinez?
Aye.
Councilmember Pats?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Medina?
Aye.
And Mayor Bowders.
Aye. Time is 7:16. That meeting is adjourned. Time is 7:16. Call to order the City Council of the City of Emeryville regular council meeting. Madam Clerk, please note all members are still present. I'll take a motion to approve this agenda.
So moved.
Second.
A motion from Member Pats and a second from Member Martinez. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Donahue?
Aye.
Councilmember Martinez?
Aye.
Councilmember Pats?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Medina?
Aye.
And Mayor Bowders.
Aye. And we get to the good stuff. Special orders of the day. So we are going to be celebrating April as Second Chance Month and as Sexual Assault Awareness Month today. And we have some guests in the audience who we're going to honor in a little bit. Thanks for being here. But we're going to begin by inviting our Alameda County Public Defender, Brendan Woods, is here. And he has a presentation for us. So last month, the public will recall that we had DA O'Malley here. She talked about some of the services that the prosecutor's office provides. Brendan, come out to the podium, and staff will help you get acclimated with the PowerPoint. And thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm going to have you run all my meetings from now on. That was so efficient.
We tried to slow him down.
Try to take those minutes, though.
So, good afternoon, or good evening now. Thank you for having me and allowing me to present about our office here. So, I'm not sure if you are aware, but our office was formed in 1927. It is one of the oldest public defender's offices in the nation. It was formed by Chief Justice Earl Warren. There were absolutely 8 public defenders before me. I am the 9th. I am the first African American to hold this position in Alameda County. Thank you. As of April 1st, I am the only chief African American public defender in the state of California. So when we think about that, we should be somewhat appalled, shocked, and offended when you think of just Alameda County, Berkeley, Oakland, Emeryville, probably the most liberal part of the state, perhaps the nation. And it wasn't until 2012 that an African American male held this position. And you consider the population we serve, it's absolutely appalling. So with that being said, I'm going to tell you very briefly, I know I'm on a time limit, why I do this work, why I've dedicated my life to this. This is the only type of legal work I've ever wanted to do. So I know I'm on a time limit, so I'll start in the beginning. I'll be brief. I was born. My meetings run a little bit longer than yours.
That's all right. That's all right.
No, seriously, I was born in New York, Jamaica, Queens. My family's from Jamaica. I was the first one on my mom's side, born in the States. When you're from Jamaica, you move to Jamaica, Queens, New York. That's what you do. Just real quickly, my background. You could say that we're pretty low income. I have a lot of family members who were impacted by the system. Just real quickly, a cousin was beaten severely by the police when he was a freshman in college, had traumatic brain injury, did not complete college, and then he began to commit crimes on federal parole, discharged about 1.5 years ago. Another cousin who had the early onset of mental health issues, began to commit petty thefts, began to self-medicate with meth, marijuana, crack, and that was kind of his path. They found his body in the pier in San Francisco about 6 months after I was appointed public defender. Another uncle who raised me, my biological father's not around, he raised me, just got out of prison from serving 27 years for armed bank robbery. So when I think about this work, for me, it's deeply personal. I've dedicated my life to this. And as I'm fortunate enough to lead my office, I impress upon everyone I hire to do this work. And as you treat our clients, treat them as clients, not like defendants or case numbers or PFN numbers, but you advocate for them and fight for them like they're your family, your cousin, your brother, your sister. So with that being said, thank you for having me. So I took over our office in 2012. We had a great office, very good office, but we were lacking direction. And if you can see this right here, this is our old mission statement. The mission of the public defender is to provide a fully competent, effective, and ethical defense for each client whose representation has been entrusted to the office to conduct that representation in a manner that promotes fairness in the administration of justice and to provide all mandated legal services in a cost-effective and efficient manner. Okay. That makes it sound like the Costco of criminal defense. Okay. If you were reading that, and if you were a client, I think you would say, oh my God, I am screwed. So one of the first things we did was go back and we drafted a new mission statement. The mission of the Public Defender's Office in Alameda County is to zealously protect and defend the rights of our clients through compassionate and inspired legal representation of the highest quality in pursuit of a fair and unbiased system of justice for all. We represent clients in almost every sort of case, every kind of misdemeanor, every kind of felony. Our services are mandated by the U.S. Constitution, California Constitution, and county charter. We are extremely busy. I manage a staff of about 104 regular lawyers, about 6 immigration lawyers, 20 investigators, and 40 support staff. Currently, right now, we represent 75 people charged with murder. Our felony lawyers handle about 226 cases per year. Our misdemeanor lawyers handle about 439 cases per year. Now, the other stats here that kind of shocked me, we have 19 investigators. They completed 4,000 investigation requests and served about 2,600 subpoenas. So we are extremely busy. And what's even more shocking, when it comes to public defender offices, we are one of the more well-resourced compared to other offices around the state. This is our budget. Or this is the county public protection budget. As you can see, we are on the short end. The sheriff gets a lion's share, followed by probation, the DA, and us. So when I took over in 2012, we embarked on this mission to be a public defender's office that provided holistic defense. And what I've done is I've stolen a lot from what the Bronx Defenders, which I see as the premier provider of internet defense in the nation. And the way they approach their cases is if a client comes in to their office, they address every sort of collateral consequence as a result of that criminal case. So they work in teams. Client comes in, if they have a housing issue, they refer them to the housing attorney. They have social workers, they have immigration attorneys, they have family lawyers, they have community advocates, all working as a team to support that client and provide them with as many services as possible. So that's the kind of model we try to adopt here in Alameda County. So one of the first things we've changed was our model of representation. Prior to me taking over, our office historically was horizontal. So what that means as far as representation, client comes in, he meets one person for the first intake. Comes back, another attorney might enter a plea. Comes back, another attorney might do the pretrial. Comes back, a different attorney might do the preliminary hearing. After that, a different attorney might do the trial. So I kind of dubbed that assembly line justice. It is bad for the client. It's terrible for the family members who want to find out who the point of contact is for that client. So we've gone to a model of vertical representation. Client comes in, meet the lawyer, one attorney from beginning to end for that client. Just a much better way of practicing. That change is not easy. It was rather difficult. We've gone vertical in juvenile. We've gone vertical in our felonies in Stout County, vertical in our felonies in Oakland also. We're trying to make the change to misdemeanors shortly.
Can you, for the benefit of the public, just expand a little bit of what that means to go vertical?
Sure. So just to expand, client will come in now, just our model now. He'll come in, he will be in custody, likely, or out of custody. He'll meet an attorney for the first day due to intake. That case gets assigned immediately to attorney. That attorney has it from beginning to end of the case. One attorney, one client, all the way through.
Right. And which for the benefit of some of the things we're going to talk about a little later, right now, a defendant has to continuously tell their story over and over and over again and relive through the trauma of their incarceration and their custodial status through that process.
Not just that, but there's no trust built there. There's absolutely zero trust. If you have to meet one attorney and you think he or she's not going to be vested in my case, and have another attorney, and if you can imagine how bad it is for the family, now who do I call and talk to today? It's Attorney Joe. No, it's Attorney Bob. No, it's Attorney Billy Bob. I mean, it's a terrible way of practicing. We have been able to fix that in our felonies. Got to fix it in our misdemeanors.
Great. Thank you.
This might shock you also. Prior to taking over, we did not represent our clients at arraignment. Arraignment is the very first case or first appearance you make in court. Client is read his or her charges, and normally bail is set. We did not appear at arraignment. Often clients would come in. Sometimes they could resolve their case without counsel being there, or the case be continued to the next day for us to be there. Once again, a terrible way to practice. We fixed that. We're almost appearing countywide at arraignments now. Juvenile representation. This is one of the areas where I've been striving to try to improve. It is difficult. Our juvenile population keeps going down, which is great, but I want to keep providing more services there. We just put our first social worker in juvenile about a month ago. Up here is Juvenile Miranda, SB 395. It's a new law. It just went into effect. I can't sing its praises enough. Any juvenile who's 15 years and younger right now, if they get stopped or interrogated and in custody, the police officer are required to contact us first. So juveniles' Miranda rights are absolutely protected if they're 15 and under. Some other courts we work in right now are our collaborative courts. We have homeless and caring court, mental diversion, drug court, behavioral health court, juvenile girls court, and veterans treatment court. This was supposed to be taken out, but since it's here, I'll touch it quickly. Prop 47 is another one of our new programs that we've done where you guys are aware of the Prop 47 law. There's certain misdemeanors that are certain felons that are now misdemeanors. We now do those reductions for our clients. So I apologize. One slide was taken out and different ones were not put in.
Okay, you can tell us about it anyway.
I'll tell you about it. One program we started was our Clean Slate program. So just give you a little background. Prior to becoming public defender, I used to be the head of trial staff. And right outside of my office was where our clerks would answer the phone. So we'd hear clients calling almost every day saying, I've completed probation, I have this felony on my record, what can I do to get it off my record? And we would say, I'm sorry, we can't help you with that. So if you think about that, we were the attorneys of record when they got arrested. We represented them in court. We pled them to that felony. And now that they've done everything they're supposed to do, we weren't there to help them. I had a real problem with that. So we've now started a Clean Slate program. It was being done primarily by East Bay Community Law Center. We now have a partnership with them. We do a lot of the criminal remedies, and they've now trained us to do the civil remedies also. So we do all the criminal, get probation terminated early, felonies reduced to misdemeanors, misdemeanors taken off your record, and they do some of the civil remedies with regards to employers holding felonies against our clients incorrectly. And we now have one attorney in our office who's also done the civil remedies for us. So we do a joint intake clinic with East Bay Community Law Center and these partners up there, Homeless Action Center, Bay Area Legal Aid, BOSS, and PIC. So we have an intake where clients can hopefully get housing, get referred to housing, get credit reports done, or credit repair, and get employment. We've been fortunate enough to add 4 social workers since I started. One of the best things we've done in our office. Attorneys are terrible at social work. For lack of a better word, we suck at it. We are too angry, we want to fight everything. Social workers have a different way of thinking, and more importantly, they have connections to resources. So they're able to get our clients in the drug treatment programs, mental health treatment programs, and are able to provide these beautiful mitigation reports to judges and prosecutors to help get our clients less time. And I keep saying I'm proud. This is one of the things I'm really proud of. Our office was the first public defender's office in California to have an attorney represent our clients in removal cases. So what that means is currently, and this is going to be one of the biggest sins we look back on as a nation, I think, currently, if someone is arrested, or back up, if someone goes into removal proceedings in immigration court, they have no right to counsel. There's no right to counsel. And if you think about that process, this person could be at their home or at their job, then get arrested and detained by an ICE agent. They get held with or without bond. They can be in custody for an extremely long period of time. They can go to court, face a judge and someone who's, for lack of a better word, a prosecutor, and they get removed from this country and their family, and there's no right to counsel. That is absolutely insane. And you think of that whole process, it sounds very similar to a criminal proceeding. So with that being said, we were the first office to try to represent our clients in immigration court. Due to the current administration, there was a lot more funding available to us. So we were able to enter a partnership with the San Francisco Foundation, the County of Alameda, and the City of Oakland, where we received additional funding. We now have a staff of 6 immigration attorneys doing removal cases. We try to be as active as we can in the legal community. We have attorneys who guest lecture at Stanford, Berkeley, Santa Clara, and these schools that are listed above here. And then we also try to get out in the community as much as possible, kind of why I'm here tonight. This is a picture of our first annual block party. This occurs in East Oakland. This is the first one we did. We did another one last year, so we are up to 2 now. The first one had about 150 people. Last year we had over 500 people. And it's a really great event. We have about 30 to 40 service providers here with us. We do a clean slate clinic, do a basketball tournament, we have a DJ booth, Jumpy House, we have a food giveaway. We have the Oakland Black Cowboys Association comes to there. It's really great. You have like cowboys, you have horses in East Oakland. So it's a really great event. I'd encourage you guys to check it out next year. You were there.
Right. I was the partner organization.
That's right.
That's right.
This is one of our newest programs here called Voice. Voter Outreach Increases Community Engagement. So I have a group of social workers, attorneys that go into Santa Rita Jail and register to vote. I'll be doing it this Thursday in the morning. So to date, we've registered about 208 clients. It's really a great thing to be in jail and telling clients what their rights are, and you can actually vote. Final program, Lyric, Learn Your Rights in California. This is our high school outreach program. I'm not going to tell you why I started this. It's a longer story. But to date, we've educated about 4,000 kids in Oakland Unified School District. This is one of our battles we have that you may have heard about. And this kind of hopefully encompasses everything we're doing as an office now. Last year, there was a move by the presiding judge to move all in-custody arraignments to the East County Hall of Justice. You can imagine how that would impact our clients and their families. The East County Hall of Justice in Dublin. We have 2 fully functioning operating criminal courts in Oakland. Forcing family members to travel to Dublin was just outrageous, and it was going to result in less participation in the arraignments in the first, and in some ways most critical part of determining whether someone stays in custody or not. So we pushed back hard against that. We held a rally, we sent letters. Essie, who's here, was a partner with us in protesting that. And we, in a short period of days, were able to organize just a massive group of people to step out and oppose this, going from politicians to community groups to other advocates and legal aid providers. About 4 months into the battle, the judge reversed his decision, and arraignments now occur back in Oakland. So with that being said, there's always a battle. There's always a battle. So our newest battle right now that we just started to wage with the courts, currently the Alameda County Superior Court has proposed a local rule, Rule 1.10, which would change the way we do jury service. Currently, right now, if you're called to serve on a misdemeanor jury panel, you go to the court closest to you. So, for example, Oakland misdemeanor jury trials occur in Oakland. There's a sub-district that they draw from right there. Same thing with Fremont. Same thing with East County. So you're not traveling all across the county. The new local rule will change that, and it'll make county-wide juries for misdemeanors. So what that means is if you have to go serve on a jury and you live in Oakland, you could be traveling to Fremont or East County, Dublin, for a low-level misdemeanor case. What that's going to do is reduce participation. It's going to make it so most of our jurors are, for lack of a better word, affluent and mostly white. Okay. So we are opposed to that. We're fighting hard against that. The public comment period ends, I believe, May 5th, and we will, of course, be asking for any support we can get. Finally, this is our new logo, and hopefully you've gotten this from our presentation. We are a group of attorneys, but we're not fighting alone. We're fighting with our clients, we're fighting with immigration attorneys, we're fighting with social workers, we're fighting with support staff, investigators, and more importantly, we're fighting hand in hand with our clients in the community for justice. So, thank you. I'm sure I went long, but thank you.
No, you didn't. Thank you very much for coming, Brendan. And so what I'd like to do is, members, if you have questions for Brendan, are you okay if I take public comment first? Okay, so if you just have a seat, I'm going to call for public comment. So all items on the City Council agenda are open to public comment, and members of the public who wish to speak on this item are afforded 3 minutes. So if anyone wishes to speak on the presentation, they may approach the podium and do so now.
I'll just say something. I'm sorry, I didn't catch this.
Can you pull, his name is Brendan Woods. Could you pull the microphone?
Mr. Woods. I just wanted to say thank you to Mr. Woods for everything that you do.
Thank you. Any other members of the public? Okay, seeing none. Council, if there are questions or discussion, can I start with Member Martinez?
Mr. Woods, thank you so much for the work that you do and for your presentation. And I haven't been able to find on your website, and I'm guessing it's appointed, but is your office appointed or elected?
I'm appointed.
Okay. I was guessing by the number of public defenders we've had since 1927 that you haven't had to go through that. But I'm very happy to have you representing us in this county. Thank you.
Member Donahue?
How does the appeals court work? I take it there's public defenders for appeals also.
Correct, yes. So,
is that your department too?
No, we don't do appeals. We do some in limited issues, but it's much better to have an appellate attorney who's outside of our office, because if they're going to claim some sort of error on our part, it's better to have someone separate to do it.
Okay.
Member Pats?
I just want to echo the thank you for what you do. And the one thing that stood out to me is you went to a people-first model, and I really appreciate that. You said clients, but to me it's a people-first. And that gets lost in so much of the debate on public safety and all of that. We're dealing with people all around, and as a big proponent of social workers and focusing on what people and solving the people problem and not the other things, I want to thank you for that.
Vice Mayor Medina.
Thank you so much for your presentation, your work in the community. You mentioned that there was a May 5th deadline to provide public comments. Can you give us the best way to make those comments?
Sure. We're going to post it on our website pretty soon. We'll make it as easy as possible. Mm-hmm. I believe the official site to go to the courts is PCComment at AlamidaCountySuperiorCourt.com. I can provide that to you.
Yeah, if you can send that to us, you might find some supportive council members up here.
Great. Thank you.
I just want to echo my colleagues' sentiments and thank you, Brendan. I was a defense attorney in a prior life, And I really admire the work you do, and I'm really grateful that I live and work in a county where we have an African-American public defender, and some people don't pay much heed to those types of stats, and I'm glad you opened with it because, you know, the face of institutionalized racism, the people who we have punished with structural racism are people who look like you. Whether we make changes or not, we need to have people who are impacted and who understand the cultural realities of people who are impacted in positions like yours. And so I'm very proud to have you as our public defender. I'm very grateful that you gave up some of your evening because I know what your day looks like. I have seen that. So I know what your day looks like, and really happy that you could come out here tonight, tell us a little bit about your work. And I want to really echo what Councilmember Pat says about the people first approach. I think that that is critical to giving adequate and competent representation to people. And so, slide 6 was the slide that I took the Photoshop memory of. It's not lost on me how much money we invest in sheriffs and the sheriff's budget versus what we spend on giving people their constitutional rights. How you spend your money is a statement of your values. That's what I believe. And until we come to a place where cities, counties, and the state actually spend money on bringing up communities, on making people whole, and on protecting the rights that everybody is entitled to under our democratic values, we won't really have justice for everyone. And so I know you are fighting that for everybody with very little, but we're very grateful to you for doing that. So with that, thank you for coming. We invite you to stay for the next couple items because I think you'll enjoy them if you can.
Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. So I'm going to move to proclamation mode, folks. We have a series of things we're going to do.
You're going to swivel this, right?
So it's a little more intimate this way. So as has become a custom here, I didn't bring my agenda, but I believe Second Chances Month is first.
Yes.
Thank you. We try to honor and recognize important milestones in our community. So we've had a Black History Month celebration. We had Women's History Month last month. And there's 2 events this month. April is Second Chance Month, and April is also Sexual Assault Awareness Month. And so we have some proclamations to read this evening and a couple people we want to recognize. And so the first is just a proclamation the month of April 2018, a Second Chance Month in the city of Emeryville. Whereas every person is endowed with human dignity and value, and whereas redemption and second chances are American values, and whereas an estimated 65 million Americans have a criminal record, and whereas individuals returning from prison and those who have paid their debt after committing a crime face significant barriers, also known as collateral consequences. And whereas there are over 48,000 collateral consequences in California that include the barriers to finding housing, employment, and education, volunteering in the community, supporting one's family, and more. And whereas these barriers can contribute to recidivism, which increases victimization and decreases community safety, can also result in the loss of human capital, reduced social outcomes, the loss of economic output for the community, and more. And whereas the designation of April as Second Chance Month contributes to increased public awareness about these issues, the need for closure for those who have been incarcerated, and opportunities for individuals, employers, congregations, and communities to extend second chances to people many of us know as our brothers, our sisters, our children, neighbors, and friends. Now therefore be it resolved that as mayor of the city of Emeryville and on behalf of the city council of the city of Emeryville, I proclaim the month of April 2018 as Second Chance Month in the city of Emeryville, and I encourage members of the Emeryville community to make second chances available to those who are returning home to us from incarceration. Proclaim the 3rd day of April 2018 at a regular council meeting by the mayor of the city council of Emeryville. So, Madam Clerk, do I have to take public comment on that one?
I don't
No?
believe so.
Okay, great. So I would like to invite a friend of mine named John Jones to come up here. And I want to introduce, how are you, sir?
How you doing? Okay.
I want to introduce everyone to John this evening. We don't really have a full agenda, but when you come from a background of doing criminal defense and restorative justice, it's rare to get an opportunity like I have to come up here and really kind of bring forward people who are making our community a great place. And John is one of those people who I admire. I've known John for several years now. I work with him on and off in a professional capacity in many ways. And he, to me, embodies what Second Chance Month is all about. And so he didn't know he was coming to be formally recognized. He probably got a suspicion because I asked him a few questions. But I really want people to know who John is. And so we have a proclamation to recognize John today. Whereas John Jones III was born in Oakland, California on March 30th, 1974. And whereas John dropped out of junior high in the 1980s and became involved in the sale of drugs in East Oakland, where at a time he viewed life options as minimal and his individual potential as limited. And whereas John has been incarcerated for roughly 1/3 of his life, having first been tried and convicted as an adult at the age of 16 for first-degree murder here in Alameda County, having served his sentence at the California Youth Authority, and being subsequently incarcerated for convictions related to drug possession in 2004 and second-degree assault in 2008. And whereas upon his release, John was both unemployed and homeless, and became involved in community peace walks in the West Oakland community, raising awareness and helping others become more enlightened on the issues facing people in poverty within our community. And whereas John became involved in youth issues and worked for Courage, Communities United for Restorative Youth Justice, as a life coach, where he served as a mentor to 18 to 35-year-old at-risk youth and adults who faced life challenges and put them at risk of incarceration, and continues to mentor, train, and coach young people to this day. And whereas John has been a fierce advocate on the issue of restorative youth justice, has fought to end the adultification of youth, has been a movement builder around ending the use of mandatory minimum sentences, has successfully worked to end Oakland's gang injunction that inappropriately labeled youth as gang members, has worked to expand the ban the box in employment practices across our state, has been outspoken against the use of direct filings of juveniles into the adult court system, and other prosecutorial practices that over-incarcerate children of color across our country. And whereas the Board of State and Community Corrections selected John to serve on the statewide executive steering committee for Proposition 47 reinvestment in 2016, of which he was one of only 4 of 6 formerly incarcerated committee members who provided the committee with a perspective that helped ground the state's work in making meaningful reinvestments in local communities aimed at prevention, rehabilitation, and restorative justice. And whereas with John's contributions, the state reinvested over $103 million into local communities to provide community-based mental health and substance use treatment programs, diversion programs, investments in housing navigation and supports, job training and placement services for people living with a criminal record, civil legal services, and other social and community supports, including $6 million for drug treatment and mental health programs here in Alameda County. And whereas John now works for the East Oakland Black Cultural Zone, which is working to prevent displacement of the Black community in East Oakland by promoting healthy community choices, Black-owned businesses, and cultural and art opportunities that share the history and culture of the Black community with today's youth. Whereas John's post-incarceration advocacy has been robust, and his work as a motivational speaker, as an organizer, as a staunch advocate in the policy areas of public safety, economic dignity, criminal justice reform, education, and youth restorative justice is emblematic of the values of human dignity, respect, and second chances that the Emeryville community values as it celebrates Second Chance Month. Now therefore be it resolved that I thank John Jones III for the incredible contributions he has made on behalf of those most impacted by the criminal justice system, institutionalized racism, poverty, and community violence. And be it further resolved that during this celebration of Second Chance Month 2018, and on behalf of the City Council and the people of the City of Emeryville, the Mayor does hereby recognize John Jones III as an example of how important second chances are to the principles of justice and equality, and how every person should be valued for their human dignity, the potential each of us has within us, and that all of us can be the change we wish to see in the world. Proclaim this 3rd day of April 2018 by the Mayor of the City of Emeryville. Please join me.
I'd like to thank the mayor,
the City Council, Emeryville, and everyone here gathered. I always feel a little, I won't spend too much time up here, but I always get a little nervous when I hear people list things that I've done. Because honestly, I've never seen this coming. Like, I was never a kid one day said, hey, I want to be an advocate, right? I was simply someone, when I paroled in 2012, being unemployed for 18 months, being homeless for 18 months, a father or two at that time. I was just simply someone who wanted to be able to provide for my children. But I do want to share two things with you I think is very important. Real briefly, I was a kid that by age 4, I was reading by age 4. I got to the 1st grade. I skipped from the 1st to 3rd grade. They wanted to skip me to the 5th grade. I reached a point where they told my mother that I exceeded our school district, or Oakland Schools District capacity to educate me. And it's interesting because when we talk about things like whether it's juvenile justice, whether it's crime, I think it's always important for two things to be known. First of all, hurt people hurt people. We often view people as victims and perpetrators, but from my perspective, most people who are labeled as perpetrators were once victimized themselves, but didn't receive healing, didn't receive services. As the mayor listed some of my convictions, I want to touch briefly on my first-degree murder conviction, and I'm glad that the public defender is here, and I'm glad Eric is here from the district attorney's office, because they can back up what I'm saying. First-degree murder means premeditated murder. But I want to be clear, I did not have a gun. Under California law, I was a passenger in a vehicle, 16 years old. My 18-year-old colleague, he was drunk. He put a gun out the window trying to shoot in the air. The gun jammed, the bullet hit the ground, and unfortunately it ricocheted and it took someone's life. I am not here to take lightly of anyone who loses their life. But I think it's very important the way that our judicial system is set up. There isn't real, actual truth in sentencing. And I want to connect that with what's happening today with things like state-sanctioned violence. I'm someone who uses public transportation because, quite frankly, I fear for my safety. The last time I was pulled over in 2015, what they do, they run your plates, they run your name. I can imagine what's going through a police officer's mind if they run my name and they're seeing this first-degree murder conviction. I'm sure they want to go home to their families too. But the reality is it did not match, it did not meet my participation. And this carries over when you look for housing. Even today, I'm a father of 3. And I'm blessed, I'm so humble, because I think this is actually my 7th award in the last 18 months. But it means nothing when I have an application looking for an apartment. They see convictions and that's it. So I think to sum it up, at the end of the day, when we talk about public safety, we have to really first look at why are there policies in place? Why are we erecting barriers for people who want to do the right thing? We're not talking about people who don't want to do the right thing, and I'm not here to make excuses. But at the end of the day, if we all want to be safe, then we got to make sure we give everybody an opportunity to be safe. And I want to end on this last note because Brendan talked about the Oakland Family Festival. Do you remember why it was where it was at? This guy. No, I'm saying that for a reason, because I grew up in East Oakland. I grew up in the community at that time. Today it's called Deep East Oakland. At that time, it was called the Killing Fields. And we didn't see resources like that where I grew up at. So when Brendan Woods and Supervisor Nate Molly was discussing this Oakland Family Festival, the idea was, let's have it in front of the Board of Supervising building. I was like, nah. Let's have this in community. Let's make this a community event, a family event where people can bring their children. And I'm so happy, and I'm going to end with this. My youngest son is 3. I took him with me to the event last year. He rode a pony for the first time in his life. And trust me, he talked about this for 4 months. Daddy, pony. But imagine that we're part of a process that is giving hope and inspiration to youth who otherwise don't feel a need or don't see that happening. The little things sometimes become the big things in life, as opposed to the things that they do see. So I think it's very important that we also think creatively about that as well. So thank you.
I would like to invite one of the members of SE who would like to make comments in a moment to come join me. You all get to come up here. You all want to come up here? Come on up here. Yeah, that's all right. So the second proclamation in support of Second Chance Month is a proclamation recognizing SE Justice Group during Second Chance Month 2018. Whereas 1 in 4 women and nearly 1 in 2 African American women in the United States has a family member in prison. And whereas SE Justice Group is building a loving and powerful community of women living with incarcerated loved ones by using a 9-week healing to advocacy community organizing model, with the goal of having a sister circle no more than 30 minutes away from every woman with an incarcerated loved one. And whereas the SE Network is formed by program graduates who go on to lead healing to advocacy circles in their own neighborhoods, building a self-sustaining broad base of women who advocate for the cycles and systems that harm women, our families, and our communities. And whereas women with incarcerated loved ones are at once the sole anchors of families and experts at navigating the intricacies of our country's broken criminal justice system, summoning great amounts of resilience and expertise daily while facing isolation and stigmatism, and are left holding entire families together, often by themselves. And whereas SE Justice Group breaks down isolation and leverages the collective leadership of women with incarcerated loved ones to transform families and communities into places of support and healing. And whereas at SE, it all begins with a nomination. Incarcerated men and women write nomination letters about women in their lives, who are then invited to join the program, and from there, working in cohorts of 15, women begin a 9-week journey of healing, sharing resources, and gaining skills and confidence, breaking free from isolation and being empowered by the collective voice they share, rooted in the spirit of justice. And whereas women who graduate join SE's leadership base, called the SE Sisterhood, and SE Sisters have gone on to facilitate new cohorts, be advocates for policy change both locally and nationally, and contribute to reports and documentaries, making strides toward breaking isolation for millions of women. And whereas SE Justice Group is a leader in the statewide coalition to end the requirement that money be used to pay bail in California, with SE members at the forefront of a movement to end the unjust use of a system that results in 46,000 Californians being incarcerated during the pretrial phase, simply because they cannot afford to pay a money bail. And whereas women are often the ones who are required to scrape the money together to pay a bondsman the non-refundable fee of the 10% due on a bail bond, often to only have the charges dropped or dismissed because police or prosecutors lack evidence necessary to proceed with the case. Whereas women account for more than 80% of the family members who are primarily responsible for covering court-related costs, forcing them to make decisions between paying rent and feeding children and bailing out a loved one, all while holding down their household. And whereas SE Justice Group's actions as a leader in the Money Bail Reform Act, their grassroots mobilization on behalf of women and families who are most impacted by the injustices of the criminal justice system, their empowerment of women in our community, and their resolve to build healing and resilience through the principles of restorative justice. Now therefore be it resolved that on behalf of the City Council and the people of the City of Emeryville, and during this celebration of Second Chances Month in the City of Emeryville, the Mayor does hereby recognize SE Justice Group, all members of the SE Sisterhood, the women they serve, the change they seek, and most importantly, the example they set for all of us in their efforts to break down the vestiges of institutionalized racism, misogyny, and injustice. Proclaimed this 3rd day of April 2018 by the Mayor of the City of Emeryville.
SE Justice Group is a loving and powerful community of women and with incarcerated loved ones. Our mission is to end mass incarceration's harm to women and communities. On behalf of our membership, we want to thank you, the Mayor and City Council of Emeryville, for this award. It means a lot to us that you are seeing and uplifting our work. We want to accept this award in honor of all the women that continue to uplift and hold together their families as we are being targeted women who have suffered and even died for ourselves and our family members to survive. I remember visiting my youngest brother in the Eastern State Penitentiary when he was 17. That brother used his second chance to go to San Francisco State University, Stanford, and Harvard. He retired from the university from the University of Massachusetts at Boston. He is now a psychologist at Camp Pendleton. That's how my brother used his second chance. And today I'm thinking about the women like me, like my Esty sisters who are bearing the burdens of mass incarceration on our shoulders. I want to accept this award in honor of Yvette Henderson, who was killed right here in Emeryville just a couple of years ago at the hands of police. Women like Sequita Thompson, who is grieving the death and murder of her grandson, Stephon Clark. I could have been Yvette Henderson. I could have been I am Stephon Clark's grandmother. I lost my grandson at the hands of unjust gun violence. I identify with these women in the news whose lives were lost. I hope we are in a turnaround time. I hope Oakland follows suit, Berkeley follows suit. I hope all these cities start to honor the women. Today, 1 in 4 women in the U.S. have a family member in prison. For Black women like me, that number is nearly 1 in 2. This is why SG Justice Group does the work to break the isolation and invisibility of women like me. Thank you again, and we are looking forward to seeing what the city of Emeryville will do to support people who are coming back to their communities.
Yes. Okay, we have one more. Would you like to join me up here? Of course. So, the last item we have is a proclamation proclaiming the month of April 2018 as Sexual Assault Awareness Month in the city of Emeryville. Whereas April is Sexual Assault Awareness Month is a time to raise awareness about sexual violence, and according to the Rape, Abuse, and Incest Network, National Network, a sexual assault occurs every 2 minutes. And whereas since 2001, when April was first declared Sexual Assault Awareness Month, rates of sexual assault have dropped by 60%. And whereas when a family member is abused, it can have long-term damaging effects on the victim and also leaves a mark on family, friends, and the community at large. And whereas the Justice Department states that 54% of sexual assaults go unreported, and that the problem of sexual violence is not confined to any group or groups of people, but rather crosses all economic, racial, gender, educational, religious, and societal boundaries, and is sustained by societal indifference. And whereas victims of sexual violence should have access to counseling and supportive services, and whereas the organization Calico, Child Abuse Listening, Interviewing, and Coordination Center, has served victims of sexual violence and exploitation in Alameda County since 1997. And whereas Calico is one of the most established and effective child advocacy centers in California that achieves justice and healing for abused children and provides service to 750 to 800 clients annually, 3/4 of whom are victims of child sexual abuse, and 2/3 of whom are the age of 12 or younger. Now therefore be it resolved that as mayor of the city of Emeryville and on behalf of the city council of the city of Emeryville, I do hereby proclaim April 2018 as Sexual Assault Awareness Month in the city of Emeryville, as we stand together to protect survivors, bring offenders to justice, and highlight the importance of combating sexual violence and exploitation in our community. And be it further resolved that we must work together to help build a culture of safety and support for all those affected by this national crisis. Proclaim the 3rd day of April 2018 at a regular meeting of the City Council by the Mayor of the City of Emeryville. And I have Christy Brodeur-Dermody with me from Calico, who I would like to invite to say a few words about Sexual Assault Awareness Month.
Thank you. First of all, I just want to say how honored I am to represent Calico Center for this month. Sexual Assault Awareness Month as well as Child Abuse Prevention Month. Calico Center is the only child advocacy center in Alameda County that serves Alameda County as well as Emeryville. I've been interviewing suspected child abuse victims for almost 20 years here in Alameda County, and I talk to kids every day. And they tell me the most horrendous stories, the things that have happened to them. The best part of my job is that when I have a child that I'm talking to and they tell me the worst thing that's ever happened, and when we're done talking, they say, I feel so much better now. I take that as an honor, that I'm the person that they're going to be sharing this with, and that I have a multidisciplinary team of child abuse professionals in Alameda County to make sure that that victimization stops and the victimization does not happen to other children. So Calico Center is a child-friendly, family-friendly center where we interview suspected child abuse victims and offer family support services and connections with other support services in the community. We also promote a multidisciplinary response to the investigation and support of these cases. So anyone involved in the allegations in terms of social services, law enforcement, the district attorney's office, victim witness, mental health services, anyone who is going to be involved in working with this family, they come together and they work together as a multidisciplinary team, and that all happens. I really want to thank and I'm so happy to say that we've had a strong relationship, 21-year partnership with Emeryville Police Department, and I want to thank the City Council and the Mayor and the City of Emeryville and the Police Department for their continued support in our mission statement, which is to achieve justice and healing for child abuse victims. So thank you very much for honoring us.
This time I'll take public comment on items from the special orders of the day.
One second.
Seeing no public comment? Oh, I thought you were coming.
Okay, the mayor graciously offered me, I felt, a little bit more time than normal to speak, and I'll try to not use it.
This is about the proclamations right now. I can do public comment in a minute.
I'm sorry. No.
That's fine.
Okay.
Are there any members of the public who wish to speak on the proclamations?
I'm sorry.
Seeing none. Oh, please come up. That's what this time is for.
I just think it was a wonderful thing to do, to honor the people you did who do such amazing work, and just to thank you for doing this. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so next item on the agenda before the public comment is we have announcements on committee or commission vacancies.
Nothing new to report tonight.
Okay, are there any special city council member announcements? Member Pats? Member Medina?
No.
Member Martinez?
No.
Member Donahue?
Yes.
What's your announcement?
Just something to report about a committee that I've served on to save Alta Bates' emergency room and Alta Bates Hospital. And the work we have done as a committee yielded some legislation that was passed the Senate, and it was bill that Nancy Skinner wrote, and the Assembly and the governor vetoed this bill that would make it so that when the hospitals are consolidating and the spaces are getting bigger between hospitals, that this added time is taken into account when it comes to public health. This bill failed. However, the Attorney General of California is looking at Sutter, who now owns Alta Bates Hospital, in a different way. The Attorney General is suing Sutter for antitrust laws, and the Sutter hospital system is the largest in the state, and they have been accused of anti-competitive practices, and this suit could help our public health in the future going forward. And this is, I'm pleased to see that this suit is happening, and Attorney General Xavier Becerra really is working on, I believe, our behalf, because the consolidation of the hospital systems of California is creating about a huge cost differential between Northern California and Southern California. We are paying about 2/5 more for any one of the surgeries here in Northern California. Sutter's taking that money and buying up other hospital systems, and I think we could see a change for the better as a result of this. So,
Thank you, Member Downey, for that report. Member Martinez?
Thank you. I just wanted to report out on my most recent Stop Waste meeting, and I just want to let members of the public know that we've got our annual grant programs. We have several grants that are up to $20,000 each, and ongoing grants that are $5,000 to $15,000 each, and these are all in support of projects that decrease the amount of waste generated and sent to the county's landfills, encourage the development, marketing, and use of recycled products, and if you have a nonprofit that could benefit from one of these grants, I would suggest that you check out stopwaste.org/grants to apply.
Thank you. I have a few quick announcements. First, as always, acalert.org is the opportunity to sign up to get alerts here within Alameda County related to emergencies and fire preparedness. Second, I want to thank Michelle and Amy from the Emeryville Marina. I want to thank the folks at the Public Market, the Periodic Table, volunteers from Blue Water Foundation, the members of the Watergate HOA, On Your Mark Events, the Oaks Club, who donated $2,500 for equipment setup, and our Community Services Department. I know Pedro is not here, but I want to thank everybody for the Day on the Bay. It was a huge success. I want to thank all my council colleagues for participating in the triathlon. Sorry I did that to all of us. But and I want to thank the folks from Second Sight who came along and videoed, and there'll be a little video segment about that day as well.
Oh, no. I'm truly
Don't
excited.
worry, it's fine. On March 31st, we also had the Spring Carnival Community Expo, which was a great event. I want to thank all the vendors and community partners who came. Pedro's, again, not here, but Pedro missed the first two throws, and on the third throw, I told him if he hit it, I would sponsor Jazz in the Park, and then, of course, he hit it. Diane was there. Turns out Jazz in the Park has already been sponsored, so I will be sponsoring a dive-in movie for the kids at the ECCL this summer. And a couple other things. Oh yeah, Bailey Langner, a school board member, also put me in the tank. So there are some people who either really, really hone in their skills on the mare and or just pitch really well. Last couple items. I've had a series of town halls recently. I've been talking about stuff going on in the city. I want to thank Chief Tejada for joining me at the last one. I know Captain Collins made an appearance as well at Bridgewater. So I met with Doyle Hollis residents, Glass House, Oliver Lofts, and Bridgewater HOA in the last 2 weeks. I'm on a panel at Mills College on LGBT issues on Thursday night at 6:30. If folks want to come and listen to some LGBT electeds talk about issues in the community. And for those who are interested, on, I believe, Charlie, it's April 12th at 5745 Peledo Street. The East Bay Therapeutics is having a community informational session and meeting about their business, which will be launching there. Right? Okay. That's the announcements. City Manager's report.
Mr. Mayor and members of the council, following our string of highly successful special events. I'd like to also announce Earth Day 2018 will be taking place on Sunday, April 22nd at Shorebird Park, Emeryville Crescent. Meet at Chevy's parking lot. And let's see, it says Emeryville Crescent at 2333 Powell Street at the fire station building. For more information, contact Marcy Greenhut in Public Works, 510-596-3795.
Thank you.
Set to be another highly successful event where folks can participate in the cleanup of our shoreline. Thank you.
Yes, and just to make it clear, we're actually combining 2 shoreline cleanup events that day. So the first is the regular Emeryville-sponsored one, which is at the Chevys at Shorebird Park. But last year I began working with East Bay Regional Parks on doing an estuary cleanup, and we do one quarterly now, and they're going to be done because they were going to be back-to-back days. We decided to do them the same day. So if you're interested in actually cleaning the Bird Estuary, which is a protected piece of land in Shorebird Park on the Bay Bridge side of Powell Street, that is a protected space. It's preferred that it be adults or adult competent children who are comfortable with wildlife. You can meet over by the fire station for the launch of that one, but that's great. Anything else?
And just, you'll probably find more information on our city website on that as to what kind of equipment to bring and so on. So encourage everybody to participate. Thank you.
Thank you. Members, are there ex parte communications? Seeing none, public comment for items not on the agenda or the consent agenda. Mr. Donahue.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna. The mayor graciously offered to give me a little bit more time than normal, and I'm gonna try not to use it. But let's see.
There you go.
There you go. All right. Okay. First, I just wanted to say again, the doors downstairs in the link on the ground level don't function, so the city hall is not ADA accessible, and it's during meetings. And it's never been accessible, but we should make it so it's accessible. If somebody in a wheelchair pushes the button, the doors should come open. As it is now, one of the doors is locked, the other one is hard to open because it's actuated by the arm for the button, and so it's just, this building right now is not ADA accessible. We should fix that. It should be ADA accessible. Actually, legally it has to be ADA accessible. Okay. I want to talk briefly about the trees at Sherwin-Williams. The city of Emeryville is talking about giving the developer a waiver of the urban forestry ordinance, the UFO, not have to pay the fees, and that the trees should be. The city is recommending that the developer cut the trees down. It's sort of, these trees are of special note because these are the actual trees that caused the UFO to be written in the first place. Many years ago, Sherwin-Williams cut them all down, the same trees, in the same spot, because they had been illegally dumping toxins for 100 years, and then they needed to kill the trees and dig up the soil as a mediation. And then they planted little lollipops, and they said that was good enough. Justice had been served, and I said, I didn't think so. I think that we got screwed. And so I started a campaign to have a urban forestry ordinance in Emeryville, and long story short, it was successful. And so we're going back now, some 15 years later, now we're going to cut down the same trees again, or at least that's what the city is recommending. So there was a planning commission meeting on the 15th. The staff recommended that the planning commission vote to cut the trees down. However, everybody needs to know the following about the meeting. You can check this by watching the video. The staff represented that the underground cables for power cables that are going to be put, that are above ground now, they're going to be put underground. The staff represented that the cables have to be under the sidewalk. And then little later on in the same meeting, they represented that they may have to be put under the sidewalk, but so there are two conflicting answers. So I talked to a staff member afterwards, and it was have to and also don't have to at the same time, and so that's a weird mystery, and we're going to get to the bottom of that. And I got a public records request pending. We need to see the documentation that shows that we actually that's a true statement, that they have to be placed underneath the sidewalk. And the reason why it's relevant is because if they're placed on the sidewalk, then all the trees will have to be killed. Further,
I'm going to grant you an extra minute.
Okay. Further, the staff member said that the trees, the trees we're talking about in question are, quote, unhealthy. But these are the same trees that our official arborist deemed as healthy when presented to the 5 of you back some months ago when you voted to save the trees at a meeting by Sherwin-Williams. So the trees are both healthy and unhealthy. So we need to find out, how did they go from being healthy to unhealthy in a few short months? Again, we can't, this should be measurable. Laws should be measurable, not capricious. I don't know why the staff is characterizing them as unhealthy when the arborist says that they're healthy. And then, last thing I wanted to say, look at this photograph here. Oh, I'm sorry, hold on 1 second.
Wow.
I lost it, I'm sorry. Okay, here. Now, you'll see here, this is the Age Song building, and these big trees in the foreground, those are the old trees in the, quote, unrootable soil. And then you see in front of Age Song itself are newer trees that are in the so-called rootable soil that's supposed to be better. And the staff is saying that the better quality soil is a reason to cut the trees down, and that you get much better results from the better quality soil. And then the staff member used
Thank you for your public comment. There will be an agenda item at one of the upcoming meetings on this, and you can talk more at that time.
Check out the difference between the trees, the old and the new.
Thank you for your comment.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Are there any members of the public who wish to comment at this time on items not on the agenda or the consent agenda? Seeing none, I'll take a motion on the consent calendar.
I move the consent calendar.
I'll second.
I have a motion from Member Donahue and a second from Vice Mayor Medina to approve the consent calendar. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Donahue?
Aye.
Councilmember Martinez?
Aye.
Councilmember Pats?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Medina?
Aye.
And Mayor Bowders.
Aye, there are no public hearings. One action item tonight is item 12.1, which is a consolidation of public events, the Emeryville Greenway, Pellado Park, and the Pellado Park Art Mural dedication ceremonies, and the Bike to Work Day. This was an agenda item that staff and I worked together on just putting in front of you to get consensus from council. Essentially, the request is Bike to Work Day is May 10th, Thursday, May 10th, and we will have Energizer stations as we always do here in the city. There is the public art mural dedication for Pellado Park, and there is the dedication for the Emeryville Greenway, Pellado Park. All these items are set to be done right now within a very short window of time. And the proposal I'd like to make with feedback from council, if everyone's fine, is we would like to do a single dedication ceremony on May 10th. So we would actually have, my understanding, staff, and you'll correct me if I'm wrong, please, that we would actually do the Energizer stations first thing in the morning while bikers are going to work. And then that way staff could move over at about 10 o'clock to Pellado Park, the new segment of the Greenway, where we would invite Joey Rowe's studio to participate in the dedication of the huge art mural we approved. At the same time, dedicate the new segment of pedestrian walkway along that old rail spur space and the bike lane that's now on Stanford. That way we could cost share on some of the events and some other things. And so we could have one larger community event. So with that, I'm going to open it for public comment unless there are questions first. No questions? Are there members of the public who wish to comment on this item? Seeing none, I will entertain motions if there's no, or we don't need a motion. We can just give you direction. Is that correct?
So we didn't do a resolution on this, but a motion would be good.
Yeah.
Okay, so is there any opposition or issues with what's been proposed? I'll entertain a motion.
No, I have a quick question.
Yeah.
So morning Energizer stations, what time were we thinking for the later event?
10 for the later event. Energizer is like 8 to 9:30.
Okay, yeah, it just came up in BPAC yesterday, so.
Yes, no, yeah, it'd be 8 to 9:30, and that way staff has time to move their items over to our location, which will be a slightly different spot, I guess. No other questions? Motion?
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, I heard a motion from Member Pats and a second from Vice Mayor Medina. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Donahue?
Aye.
Councilmember Martinez?
Aye.
Councilmember Pats.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Medina.
Aye.
And Mayor Bowders.
Aye, thank you. 13.1 is department head reports. Charlie?
Yes, this is my report on the March 22nd Planning Commission meeting. As the council knows, we currently have one vacancy on the commission, so there are currently 6 commissioners. On March 22nd, Vice Chair Barrera and Commissioner Kang were excused, so we had a bare quorum of 4 commissioners present. The items on the agenda, on their agenda, are listed here on your agenda. The first item, Adeline Springs 29-unit residential project with 4 to 6 live-work units at the corner of Adeline Street and West MacArthur Boulevard, was approved on a 4-0 vote with minor modifications to the conditions. The Ocean Avenue Townhomes project at 1270 Ocean Avenue was continued to a future meeting because the applicant wasn't ready. It will probably be heard at the April meeting. The modifications to the antennas, Sprint antennas on the water tower, was also approved on a 4-0 vote. The AT&T small cell wireless facility was a study session. This is on an existing streetlight pole adjacent to the Honor Bar at the corner of Powell and Pelledew Streets. Various options were viewed by the commission, and they finally concluded that the simple solution of just a shroud over the antenna painted to match the pole was the best option, and that's what they indicated they preferred when this item comes back for approval at a future meeting. And that is my report. I'd be happy to respond to any questions.
Councilmember Martinez?
Charlie, could you tell us about the nature of the upgrade for the Sprint antennas?
It was basically replacing existing antennas with new antennas at the same location on the tower that were slightly larger than the existing antennas.
Slightly larger, are they different technology, or are they higher bandwidth?
I'm not sure about that. I assume they provide better service. I assume that's why they were replacing them.
So I would like to just note, since I heard a question from Councilmember Martinez, that Adeline Springs and the Sprint antennas on the water tower are both subject to a call for review.
I should have mentioned that. You're right.
That's okay. So are there members who wish to call either of those items for review for any reason?
I'm interested in reviewing the Sprint antennas in light of the fact that we're, as a city, have decided to impose a fee on new cell antennas, and I just want to see where this is in line with, what we're asking.
I should note that this antenna is not subject to that.
I understand, but
Okay.
I want to have more knowledge about antennas in general. I'm not saying that I take issue with
Okay.
this.
So you're saying you want to appeal this planning commission approval?
I would like to review this, yes.
Okay. All right. That's the request I heard. So let me just check. Is anyone asking about Adeline Springs for any reason? No. Okay. So on the Sprint antennas on water tower, I have a request here. Mr. Gina, do you need a 3-person majority to agree to review it, or is any member calling for review sufficient?
No, you need a 3-person.
Okay. So I'm going to
majority.
Thank you. I'm going to ask Member Martinez if she'd like to make a motion on her request then, if that's what you're looking to do.
I would like to make a motion on this request.
Second.
Okay, so there's a motion to call for review item 13.1C, which is Sprint antennas on the water tower, by Member Martinez, and there was a second by Member Pats. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Donahue?
Aye.
Councilmember Martinez?
Aye.
Councilmember Pats?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Medina?
Aye.
And Mayor Bowders.
No. Okay. That's 13.1.
If I may just follow up on that, Mayor Bowders?
Yeah.
So what this means is that we will bring this back to you at a future meeting. Not sure if it'll be your next meeting or the one after that, to set the appeal hearing. And then at that meeting, you will then set an actual hearing date to hear the appeal.
Oh, so we can't set the appeal hearing date now and just pick a date? We can't do that?
No, my understanding is the way that the planning regulations are set up is the process that Charlie just outlined.
Okay, that's fine. So I don't know what the urgency level is, but can I ask that staff will work with Councilmember Martinez to determine a date that's appropriate for that? Is that fine with you?
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's a simple process to set the hearing. date. It's
okay.
not very complicated to prepare the report. It's just there's a certain, lead time for council
That's fine.
reports.
Okay, so do you have a request on timing? Or are you happy with just?
I don't have a request. It's as soon as staff is comfortable.
Okay, all right, so staff, you have your direction, I think. All right, future agenda item requests, item 14. Are there any future agenda item requests, Mr. Donahue?
No.
Member Martinez?
Nope.
Member Medina? Member Pats? So I've been asked to put a couple things here just for clarification with staff and our friends at Townsend Public Affairs. I'm asking for council to support a couple things this evening. There's a whole bunch of legislation that is directly impacting cities, including Emeryville right now. And it's been recommended that we review it at one time. And staff is prepared to do this on the 17th if council is ready. And so it's both just giving the direction to go ahead and do that. But what we'd also, one of the things I've asked is that if council members have bills that you would like to see us discuss for taking positions, you can submit those by the end of the day Thursday to the city manager, and she will work with Townsend to have them present that at the meeting as well. So let's not go crazy and have like 100 bills, but if we said everybody has like, 2 or 3, if you have 2 or 3 that you really want, I can tell you Niccolo has already given us, at least 10. I think there's something like 10 he has already got out there.
Is there a transit-oriented housing development bill?
SB 827 is on the list.
Okay.
Yeah. So there are some bills, and maybe what we could ask is if members are agreeing to schedule this, could you send us the list he already has so that people know what's already on the list?
Okay.
Okay. So is there support from everybody to do that at the next meeting?
Yes.
Yes? Okay. So we have agreement for that. And then the other 2 items were similar. There were requests made by the county asked us to take a position on Measure A, which is the early childhood education ballot measure that's on the June initiative. And they are available to come present to us on May 1st if we are interested. And we thought it would make sense to have a presentation, and if we were going to take a position and have the mayor send a letter in support of the measure to go out, have us endorse it or whatever, we would all do that at one time. So is everyone okay with having a presentation May 1st to consider Measure A?
Yes.
Yes?
Yeah.
Yes? Okay. The other 2 items, I've lied, there's 4. RM3 is on the June ballot as well, and there is a request to consider RM3. Are members okay with just doing that on May 1st as well? We just do both ballot measures that time?
Yep.
Yes? Okay. And then the last one was the League of Cities has asked us to take a proactive position on a measure related to local taxation and ballot measures that would undermine the ability of cities, including ours, to actually pass ballot measures. And it has the effect of, if it's passed, it's on the November ballot, but if it's passed, it has a provision that makes it retroactive to January 1 of this year. And so the league doesn't normally, when something is not yet fully approved to be on the ballot, doesn't normally take a position, but I received a request they're trying to get cities to take positions early to prevent there from even being signatures on the ballot. So do members wish to consider that on May 1st as well, or would you rather wait until after the June election? Because it's technically not a June ballot measure, so I didn't want to put it in front of you unless you want to do it.
I'm fine with considering.
You're fine with considering it?
Yes.
Yes?
I think we should consider.
Okay, so we'll do that on May 1st. And then the last item is I just want to, for the public's benefit, we received a request by the League of Women Voters to take a position on a bill that would reform Prop 13. And that is a November ballot measure. And so actually for that one, if we're okay, we could schedule that for June and just do that when we get past all the June ballot stuff, if that's okay. Is that good with everyone?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll call the league back and tell them we're going to do it in early June after the spring ballot measure stuff is done. Okay, anyone else on anything that I forgot on those? Nope. Seeing none, the time is 8:32, Madam Clerk. We're adjourned. And I will call to order, unusual process tonight, call to order at 8:33, the meeting of the City Council Special Closed Session. Madam Clerk, please note that all members are still here. Any members wish to report public or ex parte communications? Seeing none, are there any members who wish to make public comment? Seeing none, we will adjourn briefly to closed session for one item.